webinar he's about to teach. Wow. Okay, you can go live, whatever.
I think it's working. Oh, that's cool. Will someone send a little note if you can hear me, please? Like in the chat thing? Oh, I think this is working. Sorry, this is my first time. We're a minute early still. Yes, you can hear me. Oh, sweet. Hello. Oh, hey guys. Hello, 3 people already. This is cool. We're just gonna give a couple people, 4 people. Great, awesome. Hello. We're gonna give a few more people time to join. We've got 11 people watching. Hey guys, we have I didn't know how many people. I've never done this before, so I got. Hello, Hannah. I've never done this before, so I got like I had no idea what to expect. And a bunch of people signed up, and I appreciate that very, very much. So thanks for doing it and for taking the risk, because, you know, I might not know what I'm talking about. I might go skiing every day and just have absolutely no idea what to do. Shoot, someone else just joined. Oh, no, it's the same person. So we've got, I don't know, like maybe half hour to an hour worth of stuff to go through. If you have any questions, what I'm going to ask you to do is just type them into the chat box. And then Katie is here, and she's going to be reading them. I'll answer them as I go. Let's just be courteous of everyone's time, because, I mean, a lot of us have a lot of time right now. Some people, not so much time. So please let me know if you can't hear me when I'm back here. But welcome to my gear room. You may have seen it in a video I did last week. This is it. It's just with the door closed now, but it's the same gear room. I'm going to move this a little bit closer. I'm afraid they can't hear. Can you guys can still hear me okay? Yeah? So everyone, yeah? Okay, cool. So most of you guys are either, from what the messages I've gotten have been, most people are either backcountry skiers, backcountry snowboarders, or just like general winter outdoorsy people. Someone said that they like to do backpacking in the winter, which is cool with me. I think all of these things that we do outside during the winter can kind of contribute to this sense of discomfort, because you're either hot or you're cold, but being in that sweet spot can be really challenging. So today we're going to talk about ways to not only find that sweet spot, but stay in that sweet spot throughout the day, because we're moving constantly and the weather is changing and the light is changing. Everything's kind of, all these dynamics are going into it. And so the more things that we can keep dynamic and changeable throughout the day, the easier we can accommodate that. And again, if you have any questions, thanks for everyone joining. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them as we go. Katie's on the lookout for them. Thank you, Katie, for being here. Katie's my girlfriend. She knows all of this stuff as well, except the skiing part, in addition to a lot more. So she's going to help out. We are here in our house in Salt Lake City, Utah. We are quarantined, as is much of the country and the world. So if you are someone who is still working right now, thank you, because you probably have an important job that the rest of us are using. And if you're someone who is quarantining themselves, thank you for doing that, because I think we're all doing that in everyone's best interest around the world. Lastly, I want to make it clear that no one is backcountry skiing right now, and I'm not encouraging anyone to backcountry ski right now. I personally think we should all be staying inside or doing really, really low risk activities. And as much as I like to think like our training and our experience can contribute to being 100% safe in the backcountry, that's just not the case. There's a huge recent increase in interest in backcountry skiing because folks think that, hey, the resorts are closed. It's time to learn to backcountry ski. A, you can't learn that quickly. B, we cannot risk the medical personnel shifting their focus to people that are like falling and blowing their knees in the backcountry or getting caught in an avalanche or whatever. So for that reason, I'm staying out of the mountains, and I'm hoping you are too. But instead, let's use this opportunity today to get our heads in the right place for when we can return to the mountains. So I think the primary goal for my layer changing throughout the day is to make sure that I never have to stop for anything other than like assessment of the objective hazards around me, goal setting and kind of reorientation, or just I'm tired. But I don't want to have to stop because I need to shed layers, because I think one of the worst things for us is when, you know, us or our partners have to shed layers when we're 5 minutes from the trailhead, whether we're hiking or skiing or whatever. For the rest of this, I'm going to be talking about backcountry skiing, but everything I say, every time I use the word skiing or trailhead, that can kind of apply to anything that any of us are doing in the backcountry in the winter, especially those activities that are kind of higher output. Personally, I like my backcountry skiing to be kind of endurance oriented. It's a fitness activity for me for sure. So I'm moving quickly. I'm constantly kind of building up heat and sweat. And it's not just kind of go out there and go as slow as I can. Under the worst weather conditions, I adjust my speed to the clothing that I have to be wearing. Meaning, if it's raining while I'm skiing or while I'm hiking, I need to wear a waterproof shell. And I'm going to adjust my hiking speed to be comfortable in that waterproof shell. As opposed to normally, if it's nice outside and I can wear whatever I want, I'm going to adjust my clothing to be comfortable at the speed at which I am moving. If I have the energy and the fitness and the excitement to go fast, I want to strip down the clothes to match that. If it's dumping snow while I'm skiing, I'm going to slow down to match that. I hope that makes sense. If you guys have questions on that, let me know. I think that kind of objective of matching your clothing to your preferred speed is pretty universal, and I want to make sure that we're all kind of on the same page about that. The goal is to minimize layer changes, because layer changes are slow. They make you stop. They make your partner stop. Maybe your partner's running really hot, but you're running a little bit cold. Well, you know what? You're going to stop to put another layer on. While you stop, your partner's going to cool off and want to put a layer on for themselves. And as soon as they start hiking, they're going to want to strip layers off again. So the goal is to make sure that you by yourself can minimize your layer changes and your partner can do the same thing. And that way everyone is kind of on the same page. I think so what we're going to kind of go through right now is like the way that I prepare, the way I get dressed for a day of backcountry skiing. This is not universal for all climates, all mountain ranges, this exact outfit, but the idea is the same. So we're going to take an example of a typical day here in the Wasatch Mountains of Utah, where we typically see, let's say it's like a late winter day, let's say March 20th, and it is a high of 31 degrees in the mountains and a low of 18 degrees. That sounds like a pretty standard day to me. I'm going to go in the middle of the day when it's sunny and it's warm, and thus I'm going to keep that in mind. I might not be seeing those lows, but I also check the temperatures on the ridge lines and I check the wind. And let's say today is blowing 25 miles per hour or gusting 25 miles per hour, and the temperatures at the 11,000 foot ridge lines are 18 degrees. But the wind chill is 9 degrees. So I'm going to keep that in mind while I'm planning my day and while I'm planning my outfit all the way down to my base layers, because that all affects you throughout the entire day. So I'm going out for a regular day of ski touring. It's warm, it's sunny down here in Salt Lake City, but I need to dress for what I'm going to experience up in the mountains. Maybe you live in Colorado where the mountains are 2 hours away and you need to really compensate for the fact that you're hot sitting down here in Boulder, but by the time you get up to Loveland, you're going to be a lot warmer. So, a lot cooler. So you want to dress for the mountains, not for your house. One way to do that, dress what you're going to need for the mountains. And if you're cold when you get in the car or something like that, just put an extra puffy on. Not the one that you're going to be skiing with, hopefully, but an extra puffy. So,
Woohoo!
So I'm going skiing. I just woke up. It's March 20th, and I'm in the Wasatch, and I'm like, okay, it's warm outside. It's a high of 32 degrees. It's kind of cooler in the mountains. What am I going to wear against my skin? Well, am I going with a fast partner today, or am I going with a slower partner today? Oh, I'm going with like a partner that's about my speed. That's a great match for a lot of us, right? A partner that's about our speed and also has our same risk tolerance, of course. That's another subject. So I'm going with a partner that's about my speed. I know that I'm going to be pushing it. And here's the thing, regardless of temperature, even in the coldest places on Earth, skiing, hiking, whatever you're doing will raise your body temperature and you'll most likely work up a sweat. The colder it is, the more dangerous working up that sweat is. Because if you work up to the sweat to a point where you're sweating, then every time you stop, the sweat's going to freeze, you're going to get cold, and you're going to have a bad time. And when you're really remote or really cold, that bad time is that much more dangerous. So today, I know I'm going to sweat. 32 degrees in the Wasatch, super sunny, okay? So I'm going to wear sunscreen. I know I'm definitely going to need a hat. I'm taking all this into consideration. Here's the thing. For me, Brody, spending most of my time here in the Wasatch, I wear the same kit pretty much every single day. And that's because I focus on layering. And layering is one of the most important things we can possibly do in the backcountry. That's why you don't see backcountry skiers and snowboarders wearing insulated jackets, because that's kind of a waste when you could have multiple layers to achieve that same goal. Our jackets are usually just shells, because if you're going to wear an insulated jacket, that's also acting as insulation. Well, what if you want that insulation without the waterproofing of the jacket, right? So we're going to stick to wearing multiple layers. I wear that same outfit every day in Utah, but I wear that same outfit almost every day, everywhere in the world. Because what I've learned is I reach this temperature when I'm skinning that I'm sweating. Regardless of how cold it is outside, I'm sweating. That outside ambient temperature is affecting my fingers, it's affecting my toes, it's affecting my ears, it's affecting my face, but my core is still getting warm. My legs are still getting warm. And I'm talking in the Arctic when it's -20, -40 degrees. This is still true. So that basic kit is the same. We're gonna start from the base layers, what we're wearing and to start with. So I'm getting dressed in the morning. I'm thinking long john bottoms. What am I gonna wear? I think there are pretty much 4 lengths, okay? There's no long john bottoms, meaning you're just wearing your underwear. There is short long john bottoms, which I make myself. I take the cheapest long underwear I can find usually, and I just cut it off. I cut it off right around the knees, and I actually have all weights, meaning like super cold to super warm long underwear. I have all of those weights cut off in the same spot, because almost never do I want full-length long johns. Even in the very coldest days, even if I'm standing around belaying or something like that, it is miserable to wear long johns that are full length, guys. It's like the first place, because the thing is, you can't dump heat out of your long johns throughout the day. Almost everywhere else on your body, you can find a way to lose heat. With your long johns, you can't. So I wear these super thin, you can see through them. These are synthetic. I have merino wool ones too. The fabric for my long johns is less important to me. It's more about the weight, how thick they are. I wear these thin synthetic long johns like 95% of the days in the winter. I've cut them off right around the knees. In addition, I have slightly warmer long johns that I've also cut off right around the knees. Like I said, the long johns that I don't wear much, I never wear full length. This is the longest I would wear, which is the 3/4 length long johns that like a bunch of companies make in order to fit with your snow pants, right? Because, with your ski boots or your snowboard boots or whatever boots. You don't need all that extra fabric bunched up along your long johns. But here's the thing, you don't need to go buy these. You don't need to go buy these because long johns are expensive. And so instead, take whatever you have and cut them at the length that you think you want the most frequently. I almost never want any length beyond my knees. One thing I will do is frequently just go skiing in my underwear, because you know what? I need the ventilation. I can't change my base layers while I'm skiing, so I'll just go skiing in my underwear using the vents on my pants to dump as much heat as possible. I have never had a ski day ruined because I am too cold on my legs. That is something that never happens. So I start by wearing short, synthetic, really breathable long johns that fit right above my knees, okay? This is perfect for me. If it's a really, really hot day, this still won't usually bother me. So if it's one of those days where you don't really know the temperature, these are still okay. Now let's think about our uppers. Any questions? Okay, cool. Let's think about our tops now. So again, we're gonna have that time of day where it's 12:30 in the afternoon, it's hot, you're in the alpine, you're above tree line, it's blazing sun. Sorry, someone's calling you. It's blazing sun, and you just want to strip down as many layers as you can. In the spring or the summertime skiing, I'll actually wear a synthetic short sleeve t-shirt, like a really, really thin breathable one, like a running shirt or something like that. But I don't typically do that. That's not like an everyday thing because I'm rarely that hot. And the thing is, a quick breeze here can make you really hot. So I typically wear a really thin base layer. I think base layer tops. Oh, and by the way, base layer bottoms, if you like the compression thing, that's great. Go for it. Whether it's placebo effect or it actually works for you, go for it. Don't think because you have vents on your pants, that's going to be sufficient to cool your legs off. None of the experienced people are skiing with long johns, even if they have vents on their pants, guys. Or they're miserable, to be honest. I do see people that I go with wearing long johns on their legs, and it's like not comfortable for them. And I can tell. And I'm kind of like, why are you doing that? I got to the point where I don't even need to have vents on my pants anymore because it's such a because it's so comfortable for me to just use the vents or just use thin long johns and thin long pants. And lastly, you don't want to have to think about your base layer bottoms during the day. That's like the last thing that should be on your mind. You've got safety issues, partner issues, communication issues, gear issues, clothing issues. You shouldn't have to worry about that. So during most of the winter, I wear a merino wool, like it's thin for merino wool base layer top. You can see this one's been used so much. It has a lot of holes in it, as merino tends to do. But this is super thin, guys. And it's a layer that I'm comfortable skinning in with just this, my long john bottoms, and my snow pants. That's it, guys. And having something like this, I've got a couple of them. I can wear them for about 5 ski days before I wash them without them being like intolerably smelly. And I'm down to just get to this. Once it gets the sunny season, like once February, March hits or something like that, I switch to a base layer top that has a hood on it. It's still really thin. And these are super helpful. If you're going to buy one base layer top, I would encourage you to buy one of these really thin, whether it's synthetic, a blend, or merino wool base layer tops, because you can always layer on top of it. If you buy a thick base layer top, you can't like cut that in half to make it a little more breathable. I would say for the sake of layering, buy one of these hooded base layer tops. This one's, I think, Patagonia, but like a lot of companies make them. We're not going to focus on brands here at all, guys. All the companies make pretty much all of these products, and we want to stick to that because like some of them are more affordable. Some are going to fit you better. Some are going to have your size in stock. Some are going to be at whatever retailer when they're on sale. So I would just do kind of whatever works best for you. But again, this time of year, I'm going with a really thin base layer top that has a hood. Most of these hoods kind of fit like a regular sweatshirt hood. They're not super tight, but the hood is where I regulate my temperature the most throughout the winter, okay? So now this could be like a sun shirt, right? Like a lot of people get these for fly fishing, or sailors use them in regattas all the time. These really, really thin shirts that have hoods on them and they're long sleeve. This hood right here is your kind of first line of defense from the elements. When you're skinning and it's super, super hot out, ditching this hood cools you off so much. And when it starts to get cold, putting this hood on is as good as adding another layer in my book. Frequently, when it's kind of on the edge of whether or not I'm going to change layers, all I'm going to do is add a hood, guys, and that does everything. The first and maybe the most important tip I'm going to give during this entire thing is the importance of hoods. I once saw 2 people climbing Denali, the highest mountain in North America, and they didn't bring a single beanie with them. Meanwhile, I had a thin beanie, a buff beanie, a thicker beanie, and a really warm beanie, right? They didn't have a beanie with them. They're like, why do you need a beanie when you have like 20 hoods? Again, it's that layering thing. And I said, that's a great point. I don't need a beanie because I'm not using it. And it's one thing that's hard. Every time you take it off, you have to stuff it somewhere, right? And then maybe you have to take your backpack off, put your beanie in there. Instead, utilize your hoods and buy layers that have hoods. Base layers with hoods, a little bit hard to find, but really, really important. Again, I think this one's Patagonia. I'm comfortable. I could go out in this in the middle of summer and not be too hot. However, if it cools off to 30 degrees, put this hood on and you're still pretty set. And the other option for base layer tops is a warmer one. This is kind of like almost grid fleece. It could almost be a mid layer. This one, I think, again, is Patagonia, but this one's really cool when it's super, super cold and you're not doing really high output activities. I'm just going to put it on over this one. But my favorite thing about this one is what I wish all layers had, which if you look at the outline I sent you, I refer to it as a scuba style hood. This thing is awesome because when it's cold, you might as well be like wearing a down jacket when you put this on. This hood does everything. You can't dump as much heat out of it. Sorry, I'm not going to put the rest of the shirt on. You can't dump as much heat out of it because it fits pretty tightly around your neck. And in general, even on really cold days, this base layer is just too warm for me. Maybe ice climbing, I would wear this. Backcountry skiing, this is a really warm layer. If you're someone who tends to always run cold, even if you're like moving pretty quickly in the mountains, like you maybe would while you're ski touring, this is a great option. Something that's a little bit thicker for your base layer. And what you can do is wear a t-shirt under this in case it gets really, really hot and you want to go from like kind of warm to just dumping all of your heat. Meanwhile, that t-shirt doesn't add a whole lot of warmth to it. If you have any questions on base layer tops or bottoms, let me know because we're going to move on. Again, hooded base layer tops, super nice. Anything else? You should be able to wear the base layer top all day without thought. It's very, very rare when it's like so warm that I actually end up losing my base layer top. I just want to be able to leave it on and not think about it. These two layers are what you shouldn't have to think about throughout the day, in addition to your socks. You don't want to deal with base layer tops and bottoms because it's just too much hassle to get to them. You don't want to deal with zippers either. They make all these layers that have like 3/4 length zippers and stuff. I mean, I guess that's it. That's one way to dump heat. But if you need to do that, you're probably either taking your shirt off or you're wearing a shirt that's too thick. I would always rather go with a thinner base layer top that has no zippers than a thicker one that has like some half zipper that doesn't actually dump that much heat, because your heat's coming from here, especially when you're backcountry skiing or doing whatever and wearing a backpack. That is a lot of heat that accumulates back there. So I can actually see if people comment anything. Base layer, top, bottom. Next thing you do to get dressed, ski socks. I have 3 sets of socks here. I think these are 2 are smart wool, I think. Sorry about it, it's kind of blown out. These are really thin. I think they're called like the ultra thin PH. I don't know. They're like the ultra thin smart wool socks that like kind of everyone wears. They're $25, maybe even $30 a pair. They're really expensive. I have a handful of pairs that I've used for like literally 10 years though, and they don't even have like a hole in them. They hold up really, really well. I have the next thinnest smart wool socks. I think these are just called like the thins or the mediums. When you get to this thickness, they have this little pad on the shin. You see, this is the toe right here. This is the shin. This is like to help prevent boot bang a little bit, they say, which is when the front of your ski boots or snowboard boots or whatever are hitting your shin. I don't know how much that does. It's kind of just extra insulation. But boot bang can get so bad for some people that they appreciate that extra little bit. Lastly, I have these, which are made by this Canadian company called Lens. They're heated electric socks. This is the battery pack. It plugs in to each sock. See, like so. And yes, these socks are Bluetooth then. I just got a notification on my watch that my socks are now plugged in for reference. So these are, they're Bluetooth activated. That way you don't have to like pull up your snow pants to push the button to adjust the temperature. There's 3 different temperature settings on here. Instead, you can pull out your phone and adjust like 1,000 different temperature settings for each individual foot. I paid way too much money for these after getting frostbite a few times. And guys, I wish I wouldn't have. Even on the very coldest days, these do not seem to do the trick for me. And the reason is the heating element that runs along the bottom of the sock, it runs down the back of your foot. Okay, it runs along the back of your, what's this thing called? Calf. And then underneath your ankle, under your heel, along the bottom of your foot, and it stops right before your toes start. Well, if it stops where your toes start, most likely your toes are the coldest part of your feet. These don't keep my toes warm. They just make the rest of my legs sweat. These I've used like 3 times and I'm kind of done with them. I'll still take them on expedition if I'm like hanging out and it's really cold, but these are not what I want. Can you get that question from me, please, Katie? We have a question from somebody.
Would you recommend tops with sun protection built in?
Oh yeah, I've actually never, thank you, who is that? Connor, cool, thanks for asking that. I've never noticed like the UVF protection on shirts. I've never like gotten sunburned through a shirt, and this is including during 24-hour sunlight in places like Alaska in the summertime. But I also know that sun can do damage without burning you. And so I would encourage everyone to have a base layer that has some UVF protection. UVF, is that the word? Yeah, like some sun protection in it. It certainly can't hurt. What it will do is narrow down your options, but so many of these are called sun shirts. I forgot to mention that. These base layer tops with hoods are often called sun shirts. And so frequently they're made with that sun protection built in. Great question. I would for sure encourage it. So where was I? Oh yeah, so socks. 99% of ski days, I use the thinnest socks I can find. Before I could afford these $25 Smart Wools that have lasted me like a decade, I would buy dress socks, like those men's dress socks that are like almost just like pantyhose materials. And I would just wear those because they're the most breathable, thin things I could find. Blisters can be encountered. I don't have that problem because I wear my ski boots all the time. If you encounter blisters, just put some moleskin, put some tape on them, catch them as soon as you find hot spots, not once they become blisters. That's one thing that is okay to stop for. And if you have a good ski partner or you are a good ski partner, you will never be bothered if somebody wants to stop and fix a blister because blisters suck and they can ruin everyone's day. So the thinnest socks I could find, they used to be dress socks. Now they're these Smart Wool super light socks that I've paid a pretty penny for. One thing about socks, guys, is, oh, and the reason we want thin socks, sorry, I haven't even addressed this. The reason we want thin socks is because A, your feet may be the first place to get like mega uncomfortable. More than anything ski touring, more than literally anything, I hate the feeling of sweaty feet, like soggy feet when my ski boot liners start to like absorb some of that moisture and they're soggy and I can feel my foot moving around inside my ski boot. Can you answer that, please? And it is the most miserable feeling for me. So what I like to do is make sure I can avoid foot sweat at all costs. You guys want to know what I do to avoid foot sweat? I use these. I haven't been doing it this year, but so this is Gold Bond that stops like sweat, and this is foot powder spray Gold Bond, okay? I would pour these in my ski socks and spray this on my feet to stop sweat. Because what happens when your feet sweat? A, it's the most miserable, like uncomfortable feeling. I hate it so much. And B, I really, really hate sweaty feet. Like I have turned around and ended ski days because my feet and my socks and my ski boots are so sweaty. It is the worst feeling. Try to avoid it. Anyway, the other reason I do it is because when your feet sweat and then you stop because you've gotten to the top or you stop for lunch or you stop for whatever to transition, what happens to those sweaty feet? The sweat gets really cold, the sweat freezes, and then your toes, which are one of the most susceptible parts of your body to get cold, freeze. And that's when you end up with things like cold injuries, misery, or trench foot. So what you want to do is avoid all those and try to stop your feet from sweating. If you're constantly moving, they will probably stay warm. You just don't want them to sweat. Please, please, please. If I've had this drilled into me by like every athlete I've gone out with, I want to do the same to you. I remember, whatever, people take good care of their feet, the people that know what they're doing. On expeditions where we don't shower for days or weeks or maybe even months at a time, we still take good care of our feet. For me, on expeditions, I'm like super, super lightweight and minimal, right? I cut my toothbrush in half. I do the whole thing. You know what I still carry? This and multiple pairs of socks because I'm so unwilling to have uncomfortable feet. A lot of people will even carry lotion for their feet on expedition when they like are so weight conscious. They still take care of their feet. Keep them clean. Wear fresh socks every day if possible, and keep them dry, please. What's that thing say?
Okay, Footboy. Galena says, how do you manage frostbite on toes? I've had issues with it, and chemical warmers is the only thing that works, but it is wasteful and short-lived.
Yeah, and in addition, those chemical warmers, if your ski boots or snowboard boots or whatever, if they fit kind of tight, those open and shake and put in your ski boots heat packs, like, don't really work they work really well, but you don't really have room for them if your boots fit tight. So we want to avoid using those. Yes, they are wasteful. I used to buy them in bulk, like at Costco every year. And I've stopped doing that because I figured out how to manage my frostbite. I've gotten frostbite on my fingers twice, on my toes 3 times, including all 10 toes, all 10 fingers, including all 10 toes, like kind of dark gray, like necrotic color. Like they kind of looked like that. It was really gross. I've lost all 10 toenails from frostbite. I'm not talking like a minor cold injury or like frost nip. I'm talking like oh my gosh, if this happens again, I have to lose my toes sort of situation. So I totally feel you, Galina. And I think all I have to say is try to keep your toes dry and as warm as possible. So what I would do is start at the thinnest socks. Try those. Your feet stay dry, but they're a little bit cold. The next time, try a slightly thicker pair of socks. And that's why I have like kind of 3 or 4 different weights of socks according to the temperature outside, according to my output for that day. All I have found, I would sometimes even slow down my hiking just to try to, when I started to feel my feet sweat, I'm like, I want to avoid that at all costs. Lastly, that didn't just happen on the cold days for me, the sweat and the frostbite. That happened on the warm days too. And I never could figure out the pattern. On the warmest days, I would stop, take my liners out of my boots and let them dry for 20 minutes because it can be absolutely miserable. And I feel you on that. The best thing you can do is keep your feet dry with the warmest socks you can do. If those little packets work for you, I have friends who just use a set of those pretty much every single day. And I don't think myself or anyone else would give you a hard time if you need to use 2 of those little foot warmers that cost $150 every single day to keep your feet from getting frostbite or frost nip, because that can like ruin your entire ski career. So if I were you, I would go to any extent, any length to make sure that you can keep your toes from getting frostbite, because it has been something that has really adversely affected my life and my career, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Is there another question?
Nope.
Okay, cool. So I hope that answers your question. Feel free to chime in if you have more. So again, I wear the thinnest socks I can. I put some foot powder in them. I put those on. Okay, so now that's my base layers, right? Snow pants. I never, ever wear hard shell snow pants. Unless it is pouring rain outside, I do not wear hard shells, meaning like your Gore-Tex and like the pants you think when you think snow pants. They're always baggy. Like each leg is like this wide and they're really long and they have powder skirts built in and they have suspenders and they kind of come up to here with like a chest pocket there. That is just like putting on a plastic bag and going for a run in the middle of summer. Those are unnecessary for 95% of our ski days, for 95% of people. If skiing is kind of an endurance activity in the backcountry, you want to dress like it's an endurance activity to be comfortable, because being comfortable, again, allows you to focus on other things. So all of my snow pants are pretty much the thinnest soft shells I can find. They're not like hiking snow pants, like the ones that zip off. That's really, really thin. They do have to have a little bit of strength, right? Like my snow pants still have the protectors to stop from ski edges and crampon points in the opposing foot. This is on the inside of each foot, right? Where like your ski boots hit each other. They're still made to ski in, okay? But they're like thin athletic pants. They're not 8 inches longer than my legs are. They don't have all these things. They're lightweight. They don't weigh much. And they look like something you could like go hiking or rock climbing, or in this case, backcountry skiing in. They're also something that like I'm not going to get so hot in on the way to the trailhead. And again, I'm wearing this just over those thin cut off base layers. I pull them up high so they're not too long. I don't use like the big belts and everything. Again, you want to dress like you're doing a physical activity, because you're doing a physical activity. And so like, look at these pants, guys. Like they fit like regular pants. They really do. They don't have a ton of pockets and big cargo pockets and all this stuff. They fit like regular pants. What I do always have are pockets for, I put my beacon in my pants pocket. It's always a sewn, protected, strong pants pocket. That's another discussion, where you put your avalanche beacon. I put mine in my pants pocket. And if you don't do that, you might want to put your phone in there. Just always remember to keep your beacon and your phone 30 centimeters apart, because your phone can interfere with your beacon. So I've got a pocket right here where I put my beacon. I actually stopped wearing these exact snow pants because my pocket was kind of on the front of my leg, and every step that I took, you know, your pants become kind of taut when you stretch your leg, and every step that I took, it would push that beacon into my quad, and it got so annoying that I just gave up on these pants. I need a pants with a beacon pocket on the side, so when I move like this, when I'm stepping, it's not pushing against it. These pants do have vents. I like vents that don't have any mesh in them, because I'm not getting snow in them most likely. I just want as much airflow as possible. So you can see they have like maybe 1/4 or 1/3 length vents that if it's really hot, I'll pull my base layers up and just show my leg. And if I'm not wearing base layers, I'm just wearing underwear. You'll see this all the time with your ski partners. You can just see their legs through their vents. Because what does everyone do 10 minutes from the trailhead? They open those vents in their pants, and then they open their fly for the next vent in the pants. I do that all the time. I open my back pockets. One thing I like to do is look for pants. This is a little tip. Look for pants that the inside of the pocket is mesh. Because in that way, especially the pants that have lots of pockets, those are all potential vents. If the inside of that pocket is waterproof or feels like a plastic bag or is made of the snow pants material, the soft shell stuff, it's not breathing. Good snow pants should have mesh on the inside of the pockets that allow them to breathe. Yeah, so that's great. So these are otherwise good snow pants. They fit like regular pants. They fit over my ski boots without being super baggy. I sometimes have to unzip them just to get them over my ski boots, but that is really, really important to be able to fit over your ski boots easily, pull them up and down because, again, you're transitioning all the time. The snow pants that have that powder gaiter that goes over your ski boots, you know what I do when I buy those snow pants, which I often use? I flip the leg inside out, take scissors, and cut out that little powder gaiter. I ski a lot of powder snow, contrary to popular opinion, and I still have never gotten a whole handful of snow thrown up my snow pants. If that's happening, your snow pant legs are probably too big, which is just extra material that you're carrying around, which is extra weight. And in addition to that, it's extra places for the bunched up material to gather moisture. And say it's snowing out or raining out, or you brush a tree with some snow on it and the snow falls on you, every one of those wrinkles and extra fabric, the snow just sits there, the moisture just sits there, and it'll eventually soak through your jacket, soak through your snow pants. So you don't want a ton of extra fabric. It just gets in the way. When you're ripping skins, it gets stuck to them. You just don't want to be dealing with that stuff, okay? So tight-fitting snow pants that barely fit over your ski boots, and cut out that weird thing with the elastic that's really rubberized with that little clip on it. I don't know what any of that's for. I just cut it out instantly. Lots of vents, really nice to have. Let me review the outline real quick. Oh, can you put your thing in there, please? Thanks. If you guys have any questions about snow pants, let me know. So typically, real quick, sorry. Oh yeah, your ski socks need to stay up on their own. Some brands just don't. These ski socks that I've been using stay up really well. So I just encourage you to make sure that you're using socks that aren't super tight, unless you like the compression thing, but otherwise that stay up. Keep your feet really dry, keep them really clean. And yeah, this is the first place to get uncomfortable while you're skiing is sweaty feet, but it's also the easiest thing to resolve. So you can fix that before you even leave the house by just wearing thin ski socks. Okay, so the only other thing that I'm wearing when I'm ski touring as far as like clothing goes on my body here is a mid-layer top. And that frequently comes off. Sometimes it stays on all day. Sometimes it comes off during the day. I have two different weights of mid-layer top. So far, guys, we have 3 items that we really need to buy, right? This is the mid-layer top that I wear 90% of my ski days, maybe more than that even, again, because I don't really dress any differently if it's warm out. Instead, I just keep my layers on. If it's cold out. If it's warm out, I just take layers off, but I don't have like a whole different kit. And that, I think, is the most important thing I can emphasize. In addition to, can you read that, please? In addition to the ways that you can save money on it.
Would you consider hard shell pants for deeper and colder days? Example, expedition days.
Awesome. I will answer your question about snow pants when I get to that. I already talked about it. Yeah, I talked about snow pants. Okay, yeah, hard shell pants. I have a pair of them. I use rain pants, okay? So really deep days, even in the Northwest, you're not like skiing in such a way that like your legs are just getting soaked. I really don't understand waterproof pants, to be totally honest. But I go out with people that ski every day and they wear waterproof pants in the middle of the spring when it's like 50 degrees outside. I don't get it, to be honest. I think part of it is the stigma associated with like being a skier. Like you need slightly baggier stuff. You need stuff that's sold in the ski section. Maybe these came from like the climbing section or whatever. I really don't though. What I do is I take rain pants that pack up this big. I put those in my backpack for expeditions or in my duffel bag or whatever, and I'll have them at base camp. If I'm going out, I'm doing like a 2-day climb, I will take those with me because those do serve as insulating layers at night because they're so bad at breathing that it's like wearing a freaking pair of down pants at high camp. But otherwise, yeah, waterproof pants I'm just not really into ever. Actually, on my last expedition, it was the first time that I didn't even take waterproof Gore-Tex pants, and I didn't regret it for a second. And I can't think of a time that I've ever regretted not having waterproof pants. And I ski a lot. Is there another one there?
Nope.
Cool. This is my mid-layer top. Again, it's like athletic fit. Do you see this? There's not a ton of extra fabric anywhere. There's not places to just be. I just picture fabric is just like uncomfortable. You want to minimize the amount of fabric on your body. You want to stay like agile and nimble because you're doing a sport. You're not just like going to the ski resort and riding downhill. So I encourage you to get something that fits in such a way. I am still a big advocate for a scuba hood. You see this? There's no reason to carry a face mask or like a buff when you have a hood that fits like this, guys. Like this, or I guess there is, but like this is a really nice hood. The difference in operating temperature from this to this is huge. This I can skin in 0 degrees. This I can skin in like 20 degrees. And this I can skin in like 40 degrees. I shed this layer and I can skin in like 60 degrees. 2 layers, like from 0 to 60 degrees. I mean, really, that's that versatile. Mid layers, I like to have these thumb catch things. If you can get them, if you can get a mid layer that has these things, if not, you can just cut a hole in your mid layer and make your own little thumb catch. It's kind of nice. It's not essential. Not all of mine have it. And the other thing I absolutely have to have is a chest pocket. The really nice ones have a chest pocket with another pocket inside it. And this pocket inside it holds a phone really, really well and against your body. The other chest pockets, like the phones fit really loosely. And frequently with the other chest pockets, when you bend over to do something, you'll forget that it's open and your phone will fall out of your pocket. So I encourage you to find one with the chest pocket. Almost no companies are making mid layers or outer layers without a single chest pocket. In my opinion, that is absolutely the only pocket you need. Right here, if I needed to hold my beacon in this pocket, a bar to eat in this pocket, and my phone in this pocket, maybe like chapstick or sunscreen in there. Slow in the backcountry. It's what makes people turn around, and most importantly, it's what turns people off from the backcountry. It's just not fun to be uncomfortable. You can be uncomfortable. I love discomfort associated with like being tired, associated with just getting out of breath in the mountains. I hate preventable discomfort from just like not dressing correctly. So again, get stuff out of your pockets. There's no reason to have it in there. I don't carry chapstick in my pockets. All I carry down here is my phone. Excuse me, is my beacon. All I carry up here is my phone. That is it. This is what I do when I go skiing. And again, I probably start like this because I want to start cold, be bold. Katie, you learned that, right? That's like a saying you'll hear skiers say. If you're leaving the trailhead, if you're leaving the car and you're warm or you're comfortable, you're going to be hot as soon as you start exerting energy. In like 100 yards, you're going to be like, hey, do you mind if I pull over and shed real quickly, like shed a layer? That's not what you want to be doing. That's just not efficient because then your partner gets cold. And like the more you stop, guys, all of those 2-minute stops throughout the day, that's time that you could be spending skiing or time that you could get home to your little dog spaghetti or whatever. You don't want to just be stopping all day. That's also more time exposed in avalanche terrain. Avalanche terrain is dangerous. We want to minimize our amount of time. Just like, all right, let's go. Like I put my skins on at home every single day I go skiing because I want to get out of the car, put my ski boots on, lock the door, and go. That putting a hood on and off. If there's a single gust of wind, I'm just like, whoo, okay, I'm good. I didn't even have to stop walking, right? I do this so much. It's such a good way to regulate your temperature. Also using this hood. So I eventually warm up a little bit. I take this layer off. I'm using this. The next place I vent is by untucking this and getting a little bit of airflow. The next place I vent are opening my vents. The next place I vent is opening my fly. The next place I vent is taking off my hat and doing things like that. But anyways, so now I'm cooled off. Now I'm going to warm back up. On a cold day going skiing, I wear I don't really even do this, to be totally honest. If you're a person that runs cold or you're in a very cold climate or you need something with a little bit of waterproofness, waterproof ability, I would consider like a mid layer that has a little bit of like protection from the elements on the shoulder and maybe on the chest. That means it's slightly water resistant, it's wind resistant. The thing is, when you get that, you're sacrificing a lot of breathability. So find a good layer that has the waterproof portion on the front, on the chest, and on the shoulders, and has breathable, stretchy fabric on the back, because your back is the first place on your upper body to get hot, right? Because you've got your backpack sitting against it. You don't want your backpack panel to get all sweaty, because then that freezes, and snow sticks to it. Then you put it back on after you take it off. That snow melts and it gets your back even wetter. So you want the backs of your mid layers to be breathable, stretchy, and comfortable. The back of, even though this mid layer is much heavier and much warmer and it has some kind of like Polar Tech insulation or something like that, the back is only as thick as this grid fleece. And when you go to the gear shop asking for a mid layer, the term they usually use is grid fleece. This is just fleece. It's called grid fleece because like it's in a grid. Pretty much the thinnest weight I can get. This one is the North Face Summit series. I don't know. If you're in a windy climate or you're getting a little bit of precip, like it's lightly snowing, these are called wind jackets. They're really, really thin. They pack up in their own pockets. And it's never a bad thing to have one of these. I don't usually carry one of these because I operate in such warm climates, so free or somewhere colder, right? What the layer that you'll come on and off with is this. You don't want that to be your shell because your shell is too warm, too waterproof. You just want something that'll take that brisk, biting wind off when you're on the ridge. When you add this layer to these other two, this is like pretty bomber. Like you're not gonna get cold wearing these 3 layers. And notice, it's still an athletic cut. It's still slim fit. There's still not a ton of extra fabric. And most importantly, still has a chest pocket. This one I'm not crazy about because it doesn't have the sewn interior chest pocket, but it still has a chest pocket. The one thing I do end up doing, I hurry up, I change layers, I put this layer on, I start skinning so my partner's not waiting too long. And as I'm skinning, I'll switch my phone into my outside pocket. It's a safety concern. I also want to be able to like take pictures and videos that maybe you guys look at, but I always want to have my phone easily accessible. Want to make sure I'm not dropping it or losing it. So all of my layers have this chest pocket. If I'm apt to take another layer, something kind of waterproof and windproof is very easy to add a lot of warmth because it's not letting your warmth escape the same way it's not letting other elements in. I always carry a puffy jacket with me. I don't carry this because I've literally ever worn it. I carry it for other people. I want my own kit to be completely self-contained. I want to be so comfortable in my kit that if I need to sort of fit inside its own pocket, this does the same thing. And a lot of the layers that you own actually might pack inside of their own pocket. You don't even know it. The way to tell is look at each of the zippers, not the primary zipper, but each of the pocket zippers. Check it out. And this zipper, there's just one zipper pull. It's on the outside. This one doesn't pack into its own pocket. If I look at the left hand pocket in this puffy jacket, there it is. There's the zipper pull. But if you flip it on the inside, there's another zipper pull. That means that this jacket is made to pack inside its own pocket. Again, that little zipper pull is the giveaway for whether or not your layers. Oh, you learned something?
Wow.
Katie just learned something. This puffy jacket is now in here, and there is that pocket. So this is the pocket that you were originally looking at, right there, and I just packed it inside. Give me an oh yeah if this is new to you. There we go, packed inside there, and they'll usually have a little thing to hang on a harness or something like that. So this is still the lightest jacket I could. When I saw it, I was really mad because this was a lightweight jacket. Oh yeah, Quinn. This is a lightweight jacket, and I'm like, I don't want it to have extra zippers. I don't want zippers. That's just extra weight. Because to be honest, 2 pocket zippers are not something I want to carry when I'm never going to use this layer, except for emergencies. Until I realized that that pocket zipper was made to pack this thing up. This does not leave my backpack. Oh yeah, Ramir. This does not leave my backpack unless it's an emergency. However, every day when I get home, this thing is not waterproof. This gets soaked from putting my skins in and out, from putting my helmet in and out, from taking my gloves on and off. I pull this out every day when I get home, open it up, and dry it off. Not only is that going to help maintain the down loft, this is a down puffy with really, really thin polyester exterior, but it's also going to let it dry. It won't smell bad. It won't be gross. The other layer that I take with me every day, because this is not true. If I'm skiing for the camera, I bring a shell with me. If I'm skiing for myself, I might just wear that puffy. If I'm just skiing by myself, I might just wear that puffy jacket for the way down, or just this. If I'm doing my transitions fast enough where I'm retaining heat, that's good. This is a Gore-Tex shell. I use like the Gore-Tex Active, it's called. It's not as waterproof at all. I don't trust this stuff on expeditions or multi-day trips. However, when I need to look like a skier because I'm skiing for a photographer, I'm skiing with people that are really judgmental or whatever, I'm going to put this layer on at the top of every run. As soon as I get to the top to transition, take my skins off and everything, I'm going to put this on. Maybe you're a backpacker and as soon as you get to camp, you need to warm up. I'm going to pull this out, warm up really quickly, and I just got so much warmer than I was before. I don't like this specific one because it has these giant vents in it. These are stupid. They're completely unnecessary. First of all, notice that the vents don't have mesh. That's not a vent. This vent probably has nothing in it, which is good. But first of all, have you ever seen someone open these vents by themselves? Or how many people have you helped when they're like, oh, I can't figure out how to open or close my vents? This is the dumbest feature because you know what? When are you so hot that you wearing your shell that you need to open these? People in the Pacific Northwest skinning in your jackets, just open this, guys, or wear one of those wind jackets to retain a little bit of waterproofness while wearing your shell, because like this does not need to be breathable. This is made to put on and hunker down. And the best feeling in the world to me is when you get to the top of like a cold, windy, exposed ridge, you need to rip your skins and put your helmet on and change your gloves and put your skis in ski mode and switch your boots and tighten your boots and get ready to ski, put your GoPro on, you got to do all that stuff. But first you put your shell on and you go from feeling like an athlete, like doing yoga, to someone who's like, I feel bomb-proof. And I'd love to say, like, I just feel storm-proof when I put my waterproof shell on. And it's such a good feeling because it's like all of a sudden the wind gets quieter, the temperature goes up, the sun comes out, and like the angel starts screaming, ah! Because you're now wearing something that the weather is not affecting so much. I only wear this on the way up, or on the way down. I don't want any features in this thing. I want a chest pocket because when I wear this jacket, you know what I have to do with my phone when I get to the top? Put it in my pants pocket, or when I'm skiing down and I want to take a picture, I need to open my zipper, get my phone out, zip this back up, take the picture, open this zipper, put the phone back in, close this, right? It sucks. So like, I don't want these pockets at all. I think these are made for skins, which I don't understand. I don't get that. Zip these up, zip this up. You're waterproof, you're bomb-proof. In this vein, considering you want something with an athletic cut, an athletic fit, materials that are easy to use, I encourage you to look at rain jackets. They tend to fit slimmer. They don't have like the skier look with like the powder skirts on them. If you have one of those, I would cut it out if I were you. I've never worn one of those. And again, I live in Utah. Pow. Cut that thing out. You don't need that. Rain jackets, guys. Like rain jackets tend to be really waterproof. You feel super safe when you put them on. And it kind of changes the whole atmosphere for you while maintaining that like lightweight nature of whatever this layer is for you. Lastly, considering that other puffy jacket was just my emergency puffy jacket, some people like to carry a puffy with them in their backpack at all times, because when I put that shell on at the top, some people, and I like feel safe, some people want nothing more than to like pull out a puffy jacket, a down jacket, and they said this is what like makes them feel so comfortable. These are the same people that might be pulling out a thermos of tea, getting a little bit comfortable, eating some lunch. Maybe they pull this out because you guys stop and have lunch at the bottom of one of your runs. And you know what? I'm always super jealous when someone pulls out a puffy. Notice it's still like an athletic fit. It's not a ton of extra fabric. It's not too long in the hands. It's not too long here. This can fit over all of my layers, but it's still more weight than I typically want to carry. If you're someone who likes to stop, have lunch, make a full day out of your backcountry ski experience, I encourage you to find a lightweight puffy that you can put on and just kind of like hunker down and get comfortable and enjoy your tea and have a conversation. Can you get that?
Do you ever rock a soft shell jacket, maybe for windy days or colder days, on top of the grid fleece on the way up?
Yeah, good question. Do I ever wear a soft shell jacket? Who asked that?
JWB.
Okay, thanks, JWB. I have a soft shell jacket that I wear for ice climbing, because ice climbing, you're not really moving fast enough to like create a bunch of heat, but you need to be like agile, nimble, and you still create enough heat to be hot inside a waterproof shell. Soft shells are good in theory, right? They're breathable, but they offer some waterproofness and windproofness. I typically run a little bit too warm to wear a soft shell ever. That wind jacket I was referring to kind of has that soft shell feel. It's a little bit stretchy. I ice climb in that sometimes actually as well. A traditional soft shell like was really popular from like 2005 to like 2012. Like soft shells were the thing. Everyone had soft shells until I think people kind of realized they're kind of jack of all trades, master of none. And if you notice, most of these layers are master of something. What allows them to be jack of all trades is that you can remove them and change. Personally, I'm not a big fan of soft shells. I run too warm. If you can find a soft shell that offers the same characteristics of this layer or of the wind jacket layer, I am totally in support of that, guys. If you can find a soft shell that like allows you a little protection from the elements without having to change it constantly, go for it. If you run as warm as I do, you're not going to want to do the soft shell thing. Thank you. So here I am in my regular ski kit. I always wear a hat. I don't want my head to get sunburned. I want to offer some more UV protection on my face, on my neck, and on top of my head. So I just get a hat with like, this one's kind of breathable, you see. It's got holes on the side. One of those running caps works really well. Every company makes them. I like to have like this, again, is just another vent in my mind. I'm all about having vents because you can always get warmer. You can't always dump heat. So I put this on at home, like before I even leave this gear room in the morning. I put this on. I put my sunglasses on right here, and then I walk downstairs. Like this is my ski kit right here. The nice thing about wearing this setup is, so I'm skinning up wearing this, right? I'm wearing this exact outfit that you guys are looking at right now. I might not even have gloves on. I get to the top. I want to warm up a little bit. For me, warming up just involves putting these two hoods on. I reach in my backpack. I grab my ski helmet. I put it on right over these layers. I already have it adjusted to know that I'm going to wear it with these layers. There's no reason to even take this hat off for me. This is really warm. If it's warm and I'm going to hang out the top in the sun, I can still just wear this. But I just don't take this hat off all day. I need the sun protection, and I think it actually helps things fit a little bit better, especially since so many people have helmets that wobble around a whole lot. So again, I simplify by having a simpler kit, less things to take on and off with every single, it's been an hour already. Less things to take off every single lap, right? So I'm simple. And the same goes, and on the coldest days, guys, I'll carry a buff, like a neck warmer. The Goal Zero has really nice ones, actually. I use this. This is very helpful in wilderness first aid scenarios as well. So I usually always have one of these. It weighs nothing, and that means a lot coming from me because I really, really care about weight. And on really, really cold days, I might carry a beanie. So I would do the buff pulled up like this, then the beanie over my hat, and then my hood's over that. What sunglasses do I use? I will go through that in another video, but those were just like the biggest, highest profile, highest coverage Oakleys that I could find. They're called the something jackets. So yeah, a really, really thin merino wool, kind of breathable but warm beanie that allows me to still fit my helmet over it. It's so thin that I don't need to readjust my helmet to use it. Sometimes I'll even carry two of these buffs because they really allow me to not only regulate my temperature. Some people wear them as headbands. That's great. You can wear them kind of as a beanie. You can wear them up to here. You can wear them around your face like a balaclava, or you can do first aid with them. Lastly, gloves. I once saw a friend using these. KT Miller was using these fleece mittens as skinning gloves, and I really got hooked on them because they're really thin, so your hands are always breathable. But when it's cold out, the fact that you have, they're still a really good bet. They're really cheap as well. just thin fleece mittens. It's probably the least I've ever had to change gloves while I'm skiing. I carry a medium weight pair and I carry a warm pair. The warm pair is the same way I have that puffy jacket for emergencies. My warm pair of gloves is also for emergencies. I'm not expecting to use these unless I need to spend the night out or the weather drastically changes or someone drops a glove or the way they're super warm. These I don't carry most days, but I will carry them on longer days. I'll carry them on trips. I'll carry them on expeditions. They're heavy, they're big, but I might still want these, especially if I'm worried about my own fingers. I also always carry some of those throwaway chemical heat packs. The mid-weight gloves are what I'm expecting to wear while I'm skiing and also on the colder days while I'm skinning. I like, to have leather on them, I guess. They're just not super thick gloves, but they're also not super thin. I get gloves that fit me. The tip of my fingers are right here. I don't want gloves that are too big for me because it's hard to maneuver skins, open water bottles, put your boots into ski mode, all that kind of thing. I want to avoid taking my gloves off. The more I can avoid taking my gloves off, the less wet my gloves are going to get on the inside. If your gloves are getting wet on the inside, you need to have extra pairs of gloves, and that's extra stuff to carry. So again, you want to be able to do most stuff with your gloves on. The gloves I use the most are my really, really thin gloves. These are what I put on at the car. Again, start cold, be bold. My hands are cold when I start skinning. But I know that once I get moving a little bit, they will warm up. If they're really cold, I'll do one of these. If you've ever seen a skier doing this, I can feel it right now. I'm not just like waving my arm. I'm like throwing it down, 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 and that will warm your hands up. One product that's really cool, actually, that I've kind of become hooked on are these gloves that these are made to go inside of these. So these are pretty warm gloves on their own, right? But when these fit inside of them, it's extra warm. So what I'll typically do is skin in this really thin layer, and then I will put this on when it gets cold or for the down, typically just for the down. I do not find myself changing gloves on the way up, even though I have extremely sensitive fingers, because I know a couple of these will always warm my fingers up. I really encourage you to try to avoid changing gloves on the way up. Again, it introduces extra time to get moisture inside your gloves, because you get your hands wet when you're going through your backpack or whatever, and you do not want moisture inside of your gloves. Sorry. Oh, no, it's here. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to review really quickly here. That's pretty much it. Start asking questions with whatever questions you have. For my emergency layer, that puffy jacket, I really focus on the weight of the jacket, the fabric that's made with, because I want it to be a little bit durable, but mostly just really lightweight. And that's the reason I've got it. Face masks. Okay, so a couple things. These carabiners are made by a few different companies. They're called ice clippers. They're made of plastic, guys. These are not metal load-rated carabiners. They are like toys, right? But they still serve the purpose of opening and closing and attaching things. Most of your backpacks, so either way, I put one of these on my waist belt on my backpack. Okay, so it's sitting like this all the time. As soon as I remove my hood, which is my first step in dumping heat, and then I start to get a little warm again, the next step to dump heat, I remove my second hood. Okay, I'm hiking a little bit more. I'm still warming up, but I don't want to shed layers yet because I've only been hiking for 15 minutes, and it sucks to shed layers so early on. You don't want to lose that momentum of hiking and starting your day in a really fun way. So what I will do is take my gloves off. This is all without stopping. I'll take my gloves off. I'll clip them together. You can get pictures. I'll clip them together. I'm still hiking. And I will put them in this carabiner on my waist. This is a huge tip, and everyone that you do this with is going to be like, wow, I've never thought about that. That's really smart. Because you know what they do? Every single time they take their gloves off, they say, hey, hang on a second. I got to put my gloves in my backpack. They take their backpack off. They put them in their backpack. They close their backpack up. They put their backpack back on. And you know what? 5 minutes later, their fingers are cold again because they were using the wrong weight gloves where they were either too warm or way too cold without them. Thin gloves, carabiner on your waist. It doesn't have to be one of these ice clippers, but these are cheap. They're lightweight, and they're good enough to do this, guys. Keep it on your waist. You've always got that. When your hands start to get a little bit cold or when your body starts to get a little bit cold, the first thing you can do, put that hood on. Second thing you can do, put that other hood on. Third thing you can do, put this pair of gloves on that's right here. If you don't want to get one of these, can't afford one of these, don't have one of these, don't have a backpack that will accept one of these, put your gloves right there. You can still be skinning. You're cooling off. Okay, pull your gloves out. You can take them apart. You don't even have to put them together to do this. Put your gloves on all without stopping. It's okay to slow down. Everyone knows that. And the third place to put your gloves when you need to dump them or put them back on is in your chest strap on your backpack, right? So you've got your backpack on. You need to just dump a little bit of heat. You do your one hood. You do your other hood. You're still a little bit warm. Take your gloves off. Clip them together right here. I do this all the time. I've actually stopped carrying the carabiner lately because I've realized this works just as well. Yeah, so either way, guys, you want to be able to dump heat first, hood, second, hood, third, gloves, then vents, unzipping, and then resort to shedding layers. Again, stop shedding layers all the time. It's not good for you. A couple questions there. We're almost done, guys.
No, it's just brilliant. This tip is why I joined in on this to find out. Mind blown. Haha, that's an awesome tip.
Awesome. I mean, like, I've never seen someone else do this, but every time someone sees it, they're like, I should have thought. Like, it's really one of those things, guys. So please. Chest strap. Okay, packing access. When you shed layers, guys, shed and pack your backpack always. And so this will be a whole nother topic on how to pack backpacks, but you want to be able to access those layers. You want to be able to access your next layer to get you a little bit warmer, and you want your gloves and your jacket and your emergency layer and your first aid kit. You want your water bottle. You need all of these things accessible. You don't want to be digging through your backpack to try to find your mid layer once you cool off again, once you get to the top. I always try to, even at the top, I'll put even if I'm hot when I get to the top, about to rip my skins, I'll still put my mid layer back on and then my shell back on, because I know when I start skinning at the bottom again, assuming you're going to skin again, or even if you're skiing all the way back to the car, you're going to cool off again. You're going to cool off enough where it's going to be good to have your mid layer on. Predict your layer changes as much as possible. If it's a really cold day, definitely start with the base layer and the mid layer and consider a slightly warmer base layer. It doesn't need to have a hood in that case, because you're always going to have your other hood up, and you likely won't be wearing just the base layer. The point of having this hood is because if you're wearing just the base layer and you want a hood, you want to be able to have this one. I said other sources of heat are optional. Other sources of cooling aren't. That means you can always add layers. You can always add heat packs. You can always get electrically heated socks. You can do all of these things. You can put a warm water bottle. You can hug your partner. You can get in a sleeping bag. You can put another jacket on. You can do all of these things to get warmer, but it's really hard to get cooler. And sometimes the ability to get cooler is just as important as getting warmer. Because if you're slowing down because you're too hot and too sweaty, can you read that one? If you're slowing down because you're too hot and too sweaty, that is dangerous. Going slow is dangerous, which is why we emphasize going fast in the mountains.
Connie says, for rain jackets, I tend to end up sweating, even though they're advertised as breathable. Is there a breathable rain jacket that you recommend? I usually pair it with a North Face grid fleece.
Awesome. No, there is no such thing as a breathable rain jacket. All the hoopla every year of waterproof, breathable gear doesn't exist. Does it breathe in theory in a factory laboratory scenario? Yes. Is it going to dispel your sweat while you're hiking in it? No. That's why when I need to be skinning in a shell, such as a rain jacket, I'm adjusting my skinning speed so I'm not sweating inside of it, because I hate that muggy, gross feeling of sweating inside my rain jacket. Instead, I'm going to adjust my skinning speed to match the ability to wear that. But otherwise, I'm not wearing a rain jacket in scenarios that I'm sweating. So if that, hopefully that answered your question, but like, I'm not wearing a rain jacket when I'm sweating. And there are at the bottom of the outline, you'll see like there's a couple environmental factors, personal preferences, and genetics. If you're someone that just doesn't sweat as easily, consider wearing layers that are going to keep you comfortable without having to deal with the sweat issue. If you're someone who sweats really easily or gets hot really easily or just can't move as fast, or who has really high metabolism, always has to move really fast, these things all come into consideration with your outfit. This is not like the word on how to do this. This is just the word according to Brody on how to do this. However, this general system of layering is very adaptable. So maybe you're someone who always runs a little bit warmer. You can still do the same layering system just by wearing a slightly warmer base layer, slightly warmer mid layer, and slightly warmer shell or puffy jacket. Same thing to go with your socks and your feet. Cool. I think that's all that we've got in the outline, guys. I do plan on doing these more regularly, especially while we are all either quarantined or self-quarantined, which I really hope you're doing. Please consider, first of all, I'm new to the YouTube thing. I would appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel because I do suspect I'll be doing more of these, and I'd love you to at least get like a little notification or whatever. If you could subscribe to the channel, that would be super helpful. Feel free to tell people that this was awesome. If you thought it was awesome, feel free to tell me if you thought it wasn't awesome and you have some feedback for me. I'm really, really receptive to your critique and criticisms and feedback. I want to make these as useful as possible. I'm not getting paid to do these. I'm not getting rich off of these. It's not fun to rig all this stuff. I'm doing this because I genuinely hope it's helping other people. Okay, it's kind of fun to I got to tie some knots by rigging this thing. But I really, really do hope it's helpful to you because the last thing I want to do is have people discouraged from going back in the backcountry because of comfort issues. If it's an avalanche safety concern, totally legit. We'll talk about that in another one of these workshops. If it's an issue with gear or price or finding partners or finding competent partners or finding mentorship, all of these things can be discussed, but I just don't want it to be an issue of clothing. You saw there was 5 pieces of clothing to buy. This can be expensive or this can be done cheap. I encourage you to do it as cheap as you can, especially since you don't know if you're going to love these things. My kit has been refined enough over time that I've kind of found what I like and I'll use it year after year. Is that another question?
Nope, just saying that this is awesome.
Okay, cool. Cool. So yeah, please subscribe. Thank you to my girlfriend Katie for helping out. Spaghetti's been on the floor here the whole time. Thank you, Spaghetti. She just missed her dinner time by 45 minutes. So thanks for doing that, Spaghetti, and not making a whole thing out of it. I hope everyone's staying safe and staying home, and we will all weather this storm together. So thanks so much, guys. Please leave comments. Brody, I hate extra fabric Leven. That is not wrong. Bye, guys.